Jonas Brothers recently kicked off their world tour, just called the tour, promising 5 albums all in one night. And we have two super fans. They're both named Jess. They met on social media. They're both going to the Chicago show at Wrigley Field this upcoming Friday. Thank you both so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
We have Jess Perez and Jess Frausto. I'm going to ask you both the same questions. So we'll just kind of go in order as far as that. But Jonas Brothers, they got back together. Everybody was excited about that. A couple of hit albums. They've gone to Broadway. They've gone to Vegas. Now they're doing this world tour. I mean, talk a little bit about how this tour is different than maybe some of the other ones that you've seen.
Yeah, when they say 5 albums one night, they truly do mean it. So the songs that you've been waiting to hear for years and years and years, they're playing them, and that's what makes it different. And the nostalgia is there, the new music is there. They give you everything.
We also haven't had a tour that's this long before. 3 straight hours with a small intermission of nonstop music.
So be ready.
Yes.
Well, that's what I love too about, maybe this point that we're coming to it in concerts, because it's the Jonas Brothers, it's Taylor Swift, it's Beyonce, that they're not doing an hour and a half and you're leaving wishing, oh, I wish they had played 5 more songs, or I listened to the whole album. I wish they had played this, non-radio track. And they're giving them the fans this experience that they've been waiting for.
Exactly. This tour is literally for the fans.
Mm-hmm. You never leave wishing they would have sang a song, because they sing every single one of them.
As far as both of you, maybe a favorite album that you listened to that you've been waiting, or maybe a favorite track that you're like, they've never played this live, I've been waiting for them, and then that moment that on this tour that you finally got to hear it. What was that song for each of you?
So my favorite album is a self-titled album, and Take a Breath is my favorite song. It's a bonus track on that album. And they did play it in Vegas when I was there, so that was my first time hearing it. Actually in Milwaukee for Happiness Begins, but knowing that I get to hear it all the time now is just, it's surreal, because I never thought, even back in the day, that I would get to hear it as often as, I'm going to now.
And for me, as somebody who hasn't seen new music before this tour, I was really excited to see the album, because I've seen a lot of the previous albums played in concert. I've been to every tour up until this point. So seeing songs from the new album like Summer Baby and Sail Away was so fun for me.
You're going to have the super fans, and obviously you can spot each other out, because there's going to be those rare tracks, those album tracks that you've been waiting to hear, and you're going to be standing up, singing along to every song. But there might be the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the parent who might be saying like, hey, the Jonas Brothers are coming, come to the show with me. But I mean, here's the thing, is that they play them on like every radio station, everywhere you go, these songs. Talk a little bit about what the fan experience is going to be like for maybe that significant other, or for that parent, who's going to maybe their very first Jonas Brothers show.
Yeah, I think they're going to come out with mad respect for them. One, the fact that they're playing 3 hours and that they're playing all of their songs. So they get to hear a lot of music that they haven't heard before. So it's a totally different experience for them, and they're experiencing it all for the first time.
And the beauty of it is, like you said, they play the Jonas Brothers on the radio. There's a song out there like Burnin' Up or Year 3000 that majority of people know. And even if they don't know the lyrics or every single song, it's an upbeat concert. So regardless, you're going to have a fun time.
I've been reading a lot, what I think is just so interesting. I think with boy bands in the past, there's always been that, don't say you're in a relationship, don't come out as gay, you're single, and you're just everybody, everyone wants to have your poster on their wall. Everybody is dreaming about, being your partner. Like, this is the way that boy band should be. And it really seems like the Jonas Brothers fans have embraced the 3 of them being married, the 3 of them having families, their families there, enjoying the shows just as much as the fans are. I mean, talk a little bit. Have you seen the wives, the kids? What's it like, maybe when they shout them out, or, when you might see them on a screen?
100%. I think I'm just very proud, because we've been with them, since the beginning, and, when they were the rambunctious teenagers and things like that. So I'm just proud of them. I love their wives. They're very happy. So if they're happy, we're happy, right? And then obviously the crowd goes wild when those wives walk out into the venue, because one, they know that the boys are about to go on, but everyone loves the wives. So it's just a full experience, because obviously the wives are great too.
And I think that's just the beauty of the type of relationship we have, from starting when they were very young to all of us being adults now. we want them to be happy and thriving and have beautiful families. So it's not, don't say you're in a relationship. We want them to grow and evolve as people.
Yeah. And we've grown also because of course, back in the day, we're like, we're going to marry Joe or like, all those fun things, but we've all matured since then.
Let's talk a little bit about how the two of you met, because social media is what brought the two of you together.
Yeah, like I was telling you, Rudy, earlier that Stan Twitter is a thing. I mean, I guess if we call it X now, I don't know. But yeah, Stan Twitter's huge. There's a huge group of fans that go to a lot of shows, interact on Twitter, and it's a huge community. And that's how you make your friends. That's how I've made a lot of my Jonas friends. And Jess and I actually met for the first time at Yankee Stadium for opening weekend, and realizing that we're both from Chicago and we both travel for all of these shows. So like the connection was there. So yeah.
They are both. Go ahead.
Sorry. I actually tweeted a couple weeks ago, at every single show I'm going to, I know for a fact that I will recognize at least one person, because it's the same like core group of people on Twitter that you see traveling all over the place.
That is awesome. I love that social media got to bring fans together, because the both of you are in Chicago, but you never probably would have met had it not been for social media.
Yeah, I don't think we would have.
I don't think so, because we've been, I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure we've been to every single show, the same shows.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about fan experiences, because I always see them posting as far as like, we invited some friends to a sound check. We're doing this meet and greet. We're playing Broadway. We're doing all these like cool and unique things. They always involve their fans in that. Talk about maybe the first cool fan experience you got to have with the Jonas Brothers, and maybe your favorite. They could be the same one, but are they?
That's a tough one. Okay, so I'm going to start with something pre-breakup.
Okay.
I ended up winning tickets to a private, like, kind of performance that they had at the Hard Rock. And so it was a very intimate show. And it was like the first time that I got to experience an intimate setting like that with the Jonas Brothers. And it was just a lot of fun. And obviously they played all of their hits. So that was great. And then post breakup, I think it would be the pawn shop experience that they did in Vegas. I know Jess got to go to that too. Yeah. They were pretty much just giving away all of their old items. And a select few fans got invited through this texting system that they had. And it was just a great experience. You got to go in there and pick whatever you wanted, and it was free. So it was a lot of fun. I ended up getting Joe's jacket from season 1 of Jonas.
I ended up getting a Burnin' Up shirt that Joe wore through the entire tour.
The iconic Burnin' Up shirt.
Yeah.
Were they there, or was it just the merchandise, as far as like were they out there like handing things out, or were they like, how was that experience all like?
The first day they showed up and they made like a couple minute speech to the fans about why they did the pawn shop and what it means to them, and why they want fans to be able to have like memorabilia from the very long career. So they did show up at the first day of the pawn shop.
That is awesome. Speaking of the merch, talk a little bit about the merch that we're going to see on this particular tour. Like, do we want to get there early to make sure? The lines sometimes get pretty long for the merch.
Yeah.
I love that you called it the merch, because that's literally what they call it. So it seems like for the stadium shows, don't quote me, but that they are doing specific merch for that. In Toronto and Yankee, they had very specific merch for those shows. So I'm assuming Wrigley might get the same thing. So I'm very, very excited about that. But they have some, I know. But the rest of the other merch is great too, but I'm just looking forward to that venue specific merch.
Yes. And I think the merch this tour is really appealing. Like, I could have bought every single thing at the merch stand if I had no self-control.
Yep. That's what I love too, that they do that, because oftentimes you can just go on their website and buy the tour shirts, but when they do those specific city, either hats or shirts or, water bottles, whatever they might have, it's like you can only get it if you were at that particular show. So I love that they're doing that for this tour.
They are even posting some of that merch online as well. They posted the Toronto and Yankee merch online. So if you weren't able to go, you can still get it. But again, it's a different experience, right? Getting it from the show that you actually went to. They also have a program that they're doing this tour. So it's like a little booklet. So that's something that they've been promoting as well.
As far as this type of a venue, because obviously, Wrigley Field, iconic here in Chicago, but, Yankee Stadium here, the venue that was in Toronto, I forgot the name of it. What is it like to see them in something like that versus like a traditional indoor theater?
It's huge. I personally have only ever been to a stadium once, and that was Soldier Field. So to go to like Yankee Stadium and now Wrigley for the first time, it's just a different experience being able to see that large of a crowd.
Yeah, I think the experience in general is just different, but being a Jonas fan, it's extremely different, especially, Jess knows this too. Since the past year, they've done their Vegas residencies, and I've gone to every single one of those. So that was a small venue. Those were small, intimate shows. So going from that to big stadium shows, it's wild. But like the energy at those shows, like Yankee Stadium, that energy was amazing. The finale, I get goosebumps watching my video back of the finale because it's so surreal, and it's one of those like I'm so proud to be a fan moments.
Yeah.
I've heard Love Bug and When You Look Me in the Eyes are two of the big highlights as far as the show goes. Were those two like moments, big for you? Was there one particular song that you're waiting for, or one particular album that you're like, okay, this is why I'm so excited for the tour?
I think we're both going to agree that Walls was
Yes.
a big moment during the show. Even Joe Jonas himself said, "We're going to church" during the song.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people don't love that song on the album, but I know I've always reiterated because I went to their Broadway show for the album night when they played the album for the first time. And that's when I heard Walls for the first time, and I'm like, you guys are not ready to hear Walls for the first time live. Like, it's an experience for sure. And for me, I mean, I always love listening to When You Look Me in the Eyes, because I'm not sure if you know this, but the Chicago Milwaukee connection with that is that they filmed that music video in Chicago and in Milwaukee. So a lot of that footage is from those shows. And this is my one little bragging moment, is that the Jonas pants in that music video is me and my best friend. So that song always holds a place in my heart just because it always brings me back to that moment.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Obviously, you might get good seats and they might recognize you from going to all these shows. Who recognizes both of you the first, or who might give you like a wink or like a point of like, hey, good to see you? Who's the first one out of the three to notice each one of you?
I would say it's a toss up between Joe and Kevin. For me, at least.
Yeah, for me, I feel like Joe, just because I've interacted with him more at the shows. At one point, I had like jokingly made a TikTok saying that me and Joe Jonas were besties, and he ended up duetting it with me. So I think he would probably be the first person, I would say.
And Joe's just very good with the crowd and the audience. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you, you made that TikTok. When did you know, like, what was that first moment like when you saw that he duetted it with? Like, tell me what that was like for you.
So I had just got home from Houston. That's where I went for the show, and I got front row tickets the day before. So I made signs, and I realized after getting home from the airport that he liked my video. So obviously I told my mom, and we started screaming and jumping around the kitchen. And then the notification popped up that he duetted it. And I think like that's one of the most surreal things that's happened since being an OG fan, because that's like huge. He's watching your video and he's responding to it, and that just doesn't happen with other people.
And that's honestly probably the first time I noticed Jess, his duet.
And then you got to me that's amazing. You mentioned the signs as far as getting ready for the Wrigley Field show. Particular way to dress, things you should bring, signs you should have. What has been the fan experience like so that people have make the most of it in Chicago here on Friday?
So I like to dress comfortably. I dress in my merch. If I have an idea for a cute, fun outfit, I'll do it. But I think at least for me, I don't try to stress too much about my outfits just because I'll be stressing 24/7 since we go to so many shows. But I think I'm gonna be an outfit repeater, and I wore Jonas jerseys, and I think Jess wore too for Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna wear that again for Wrigley. And then and for signs, I guess I just don't want to say don't try too hard, but just make a sign which whatever you want. I personally don't bring a lot of signs anymore, but because again, I'm just not creative anymore. It's I don't know what else to say.
For me, I'm gonna rewear my jersey to get some use out of it. Maybe just change what I wear underneath it. And then I'm also gonna bring probably like 3 or 4 signs just because I have seats by the catwalk. But just little things to try to get them to like notice you or acknowledge you and have that one special moment during the concert.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for your time today. Have the best time at Wrigley Field this upcoming Friday. And I can't wait to hear how that whole experience was. And I'm going to follow both of you on social media because I want to follow step by step just to see how awesome the show's going to be here in Chicago.
Awesome. Follow us on Twitter. That's the place to see.
Oh, Twitter. Why did I say that? Instagram.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.